It was a dramatic scene, an apparent pillar of the community, a mother of three arrested and exposed as a fraud.
I was surrounded by SWAT and pulled over, and I was in jail, and what they asked me was, we have some allegations and we want to investigate them.
That investigation would eventually untangle a web of lies the Austin, Texas mom really started spinning after the birth of her youngest son, Jackson.
He was 24, 25 weeks. He was barely a pound, and within the first 48 hours, Jack really struggled. He was put on breathing and feeding and everything.
She says after that, Jack's health only got worse. Then when Jack was around 1, he was diagnosed with a condition called neurofibromatosis, or NF, a rare genetic disorder that can cause non-cancerous tumors.
Unfortunately, there's not very many NF clinics that work with kiddos this young, so Austin sent us to Dallas.
And from there, she says doctors in Dallas sent her to a hospital in Houston, where she was eventually referred to Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Ohio. But was Monica really chasing the best care for Jack, or was she running away from something else? Turns out there was one detail she left out the first time through this story.
When we left Austin, it wasn't on good terms. The doctors then were concerned about the medical care that we were giving Jack, that we were overzealous and that we were over-exaggerating, or me mainly. They thought we were having unnecessary medical procedures done to him.
A claim she denies.
Austin did an investigation. We went through it and they closed the case. There was no findings whatsoever.
But doctors in Austin did alert Jack's new doctors in Cincinnati, and that's where things really start to unravel.
Looking over your case, one thing definitely stuck out to me is that everyone thought you were a doctor.
They did.
Your husband thought you were a doctor? The actual doctors thought you were a doctor. Why is that?
That's because I told him I was. It was a lie that started a long time ago, and I never said that I was Jackson's doctor. I never represented myself as a practicing pediatrician. I said I was an infectious disease physician. And once that lie was set, I couldn't say no because it was already in the medical records.
Even your own husband?
Yeah, it was
How long have you been married?
We've been married 11 years.
More than a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband thought you were a doctor.
Correct.
And you're involved in your son's medical treatments and diagnoses.
I don't know that I was involved. I never gave medical recommendations. I never said, because of my expert opinion, should this happen to Jack?
But that's precisely one of the reasons she was arrested, with prosecutors arguing in court that based on Monica's descriptions of the symptoms, doctors prescribed strong opioids like methadone and oxycodone, drugs they wouldn't have administered had they known Monica wasn't a physician.
And is that the root of the child endangerment? That opioids were prescribed gratuitously? They weren't needed?
That and oxygen, that he had excess oxygen that they prescribed as well.
By posing as a doctor, did you ever think I'm endangering my child?
No, I didn't actually. At some point it was a crutch because I needed them to hear me when Jack was in tremendous amounts of pain.
But it's one thing if you thought, all right, I need to think of something that would get these doctors to listen to me, so this is going to be my Hail Mary approach. But you've been posing as a doctor before Jackson was even born. This wasn't just recent.
No, it wasn't. No. So it definitely wasn't used to benefit Jack. That lie had already been there, so I didn't use it to call in favors.
Naturally the viewer is thinking to himself, why should I buy one line of what she's saying?
Because if you look at Jack and you look at his medical records, he was clearly in pain. Something was wrong.
But that's where the biggest point of contention comes in. While no one doubts Jack really does have some serious medical issues, it's what Monica told people those issues were that's created the real problem.
This is the felony. This is the big conviction. Basically, the allegation was, and you were convicted on it, is that you pretended your son had cancer and set up a GoFundMe page to solicit donations, and the donations came rolling in up to $40,000.
So first, the GoFund was set up by a friend. There were 2 GoFunds. The second GoFund never stated he had cancer.
Oh, come on.
No.
No,
it
no, no.
didn't.
I mean,
You can definitely read it.
no. But, and here is where I'm going to have a major problem with you.
Okay.
Is because it's obvious you were trying to get across the point that he has cancer. You stated that he had a brain tumor. You shaved his head. You shaved his eyebrows. He has tubes up his nose. I mean, come on.
So I didn't shave his head. And again, we have pictures at MD Anderson. They shaved his head.
According to Monica, doctors in Houston shaved Jack's head for an unrelated procedure.
Did the doctor shave his eyebrows as well?
No, Jackson pulls at his hair and his eyes.
He pulled out every single eyebrow.
No, not all of his eyebrows were gone.
I mean, yeah, all his eyebrows are gone. I'm looking at the picture right, and all his eyebrows are gone. It's obvious that the inference is cancer.
If you want to know what getting caught in a lie looks like, keep watching.
So I should state clearly, I never shaved it, but we did have his eyebrows shaved so he would not pull them to redirect the adverse behavior.
So now his eyebrows, you did shave his eyebrows.
So I did not shave him. We had him done at Cincinnati Children's when we were there.
Okay, you just
So-
said that he pulled the eyebrows.
Correct. So that he would not continue to pull them, we shaved them.
Who shaved, not shaved, it was getting hard to keep up. But then, it wasn't just the missing eyebrows that had mine raised.
Why did you tell a volunteer that Jackson was undergoing chemo?
One of the 2 people who testified, I said yes. We were talking about methods of how we were going to treat him, and I said
Chemo.
yes.
Chemo. Now,
But again,
what is chemo for?
for cancer.
Okay.
But to clarify,
You're lying. I mean, you're just lying gratuitously. You just told me that you never inferred that Jackson had cancer. Now you're saying you told one of these volunteers he was undergoing chemotherapy.
Well, it was one particular one. Yes, I did.
I mean, you're a flat-out liar.
I am, absolutely.
But if she'll admit that, then why? What were the real reasons behind Monica Burgett's deceptions?
Are you disassociated from reality? To come up with this plot? To use your kid as a prop?
So
You were telling another volunteer.
I lied about being a doctor. I lied to my family, my loved ones, my friends.
And she lied about her son Jackson having cancer.
Is Jackson terminally ill?
He's not terminally ill.
So why would she say otherwise? As I was about to find out, getting that answer wouldn't be easy.
Is there I'm looking at this 2 options. There's either a serious mental health issue with you, or you are a stone cold scam artist. I mean, do you have mental health issues?
That's what we're working with right now with the therapist that I see.
So what about option B?
You were convicted on telecommunications fraud, and then you have $40,000. Did you spend any of that money?
Every penny that we got from GoFund went to medical bills, went to cost of living.
The contention wasn't it was spent on outings at Dairy Queen. It was that it was solicited under false pretenses.
Correct.
GoFundMe refunded the money. I mean, they refunded the money because they found that it was fraudulent as well.
That was not no, that's not my understanding of it.
But it is the reality. In fact, Monica has been ordered to repay more than $26,000 to GoFundMe so that they can refund the victims.
The money that we raised from GoFund was to have 2 facilities that we could be here and provide him the care, the medication, cost of living for both places.
Why not just be honest what your kid was really suffering from?
We were. If you look on the GoFund,
No, you weren't.
we were.
Come on, the guy, again, looking at the picture. You staged it for Jackson to look like a cancer
So
patient.
there's no staging. Those are the pictures.
Then, just as we started to dig back into that topic, our cameraman noticed we were running out of tape.
There was multiple pictures.
I saw 2 of them, and one he looks like a cancer patient, the other one he looks like a...
Cut off in the middle of our exchange, and by the time we put the new tape in,
As you can see, there's an empty chair. Monica decided to leave while we were changing tapes. I really do want to see where she was coming from But she was lying right to my face. Is this someone who has issues, needs help? Or is she really exploiting her kid for money?
Thankfully, I would get a second chance to ask those questions. Monica returns to finish the interview.
Monica, why'd you walk out?
I needed to take a deep breath. I didn't want to have a panic attack. I was feeling overwhelmed. You said some pretty valid things that's hard to have to admit to. I try never to act on emotion, and so I needed to take a deep breath and remember why I'm here today. The reality is Jackson has NF. He needed the treatment.
I do so many interviews. I think I'm a good read on individuals. You strike me as lying effortlessly, as though it's a pathology. Do you think you're a pathological liar?
No, I don't, but I can understand why you think I am. I lied about being a physician. I did not deny that Jackson did not have cancer or did not undergo chemo, and that's wrong. But am I a pathological liar? No.
So if not that, what about this?
And it was brought up at trial as well, whether or not your son is going through the level of illness you say, or whether this is all in your head, and
That's a
that
good
you are
point.
contriving
Right.
these circumstances.
I think you're referring to Munchausen by proxy. Absolutely.
So is it a mental illness on your end?
All the medical records can show that Jackson definitely was in the pain that was being described. And none of the 3 evaluations I had did they feel that I had Munchausen by proxy. But I definitely didn't. I wasn't hurting my child.
And she says she's not the only one who should be held accountable for her lies. Even if doctors did think she was a real physician, they were still the ones who prescribed the drugs they would later deem unnecessary.
And so when do they become accountable? Because believe me, sitting in jail, I definitely became accountable. And I'm going to have to continue to be accountable for whatever the judge decides to sentence, and I understand that, and I'm willing to accept that. But when do they become accountable?
I'm not absolving the hospital. Maybe there was negligence on their end and they didn't thoroughly look at Jackson's case the way they should have, and they took you at your word because you said you were a medical professional. I want to get your thoughts on this. The key contention is going to be the lie you let fester that Jackson had cancer.
Well, I didn't say cancer. I said he had a tumor.
Even now, you're just hedging and making excuses. If somebody thinks I'm an NBA basketball player and I let them believe this fantasy, I mean, clearly I'm lying by omission.
I think we established that I lied about it.
That much is true, and Monica did serve 3 months in jail for her lies before bonding out. In addition, according to Monica's attorney, the mother of 3 hasn't seen Jackson since the state took him away after her arrest.
The state of Ohio has filed a petition that she not see her son until Jackson's 18 years old.
Really? How old is he now?
5?
Do you think the verdict was fair?
I don't think Monica ever intended to hurt her child. If she created a risk, I don't think she knew she was.
For now, Jackson and Monica's other children remain in the custody of her husband in Texas, who, believe it or not, continues to stand by her side. Our sources also tell us Jackson is currently not on any pain medication and appears to be thriving.
So where do you go from here?
Our goal is to be reunited, to all be together as a family like we were. But this has definitely been the longest 1.5 years of my life. And so I look forward, whenever that is, to being with them again.
And after our interview, Monica Burgett finally did learn what her sentence would be. 5 years probation, the maximum under the law. At sentencing, the judge ruled she must have a well-defined treatment plan in place before she can travel outside of Ohio, summing up the case with the following statement: "You need help. You need significant help for the protection of your children and the public." Where or when Monica can see her kids again has yet to be determined.
people are outraged that she did not get any jail time. So we brought in two leading experts, Crime Watch Daily legal contributor Misty Maris, as well as clinical and forensic psychologist Dr. Judy Ho, to break down this story. Judy, the judge in this case said that she needed mental help and not incarceration. Do you buy that?
Well, I certainly think she needed both. The question remains whether or not she's actually even going to get better from mental health treatment. While reviewing the facts of the case, it seems that she has Munchausen by proxy. But if the underlying issues are not resolved, this is not going to be somebody who gets better from treatment. And not only did she deceive everybody who was in charge of her son's care, she also deceived her husband. And so this is not just purely Munchausen, in my opinion. There's a personality disorder at play here.
Misty, do you think she should have gotten prison time?
It's so interesting, Chris, because when you see the facts of this case, you have to remember she was convicted of misdemeanor child abuse charges, but she was also convicted of felony telecommunications fraud.
Fraud?
Yes.
She collected money online.
She collected money by falsely saying that her son was diagnosed with cancer and that he was suffering from the disease. To me, fraud, usually that would get you a sentence of 9 months to 5 years. Just that charge alone. So it's shocking that the judge took this approach.
Let's talk about whether or not she should ever see this child again.
Well, I think she can see the child, but never without supervision. She cannot be left alone with the child or any other vulnerable person that she can hurt. And I feel very strongly about this because we know that individuals with Munchausen's plus a personality disorder have a really hard time ever taking that motivation, taking those extra steps to get better.
From a legal perspective, it is very difficult to cut off a parent's rights in their entirety. Even in cases with more extreme situations, you'll see parents getting their children back. So that's going to happen in this case. The question is when.